And here we go. So, ladies and gentlemen, very, very warm welcome to Africa, where we are celebrating Earth Day today, and very proud to have two of Africa's most magnificent green properties. And I'm going to ask them to introduce themselves a little bit later, but we've got Wendy Bourne from Zimbabwe joining us. We've got Alyssa Ruxon from Kigali in Rwanda joining us. And of course, Daryl, former international board member from SITE, joining us today as well. So Daryl heads up the new sustainability committee for SITE. Now, before I hand over to Daryl, for those who don't know, SITE stands for the Society of Incentive Travel Excellence, and we are the Africa chapter. We are also doing this in conjunction with our new South African Events Council, which is a coalition of 14 event associations that have conglomerated in order to find ways to solve our COVID-19 challenges within our industry. And very happy to have them on board as well. So, Daryl, could you please tell us a little bit about the SITE sustainability program and what your goals are? Over to you.
Okay, well, very simply, as Tess mentioned, I've spent 6 years on the SITE International Board, and the last two of those, SITE had identified the need for a sustainability program within SITE that each chapter could be part of, and there was a task team set to develop that. And I actually wasn't part of that. They gave me an education portfolio again for the last year that I was with SITE's board. But the team that put that together were really from all over the world and from some great destinations, including Costa Rica, Dominican Republic, which are kind of greener destinations, as well as from with Europe and the USA. And it's a process. It's possibly too long to go through everything, but essentially that process is aligned to the UN, the 17 Sustainable Development Goals of the UN. And it involves a roadmap that each chapter, and we're only just beginning to embark on that as SITE Africa, which is tasks towards achieving your sustainability certification. So SITE as a chapter, SITE Africa as a chapter, is in the second phase of that. During 2020, 5 chapters, predominantly in North America, actually did go through the process and achieve their sustainability certification. And we are another 19 chapters around the world for 2021. So SITE Africa is one of those that are going down that road. It's not only about, doing all the great things for the environment. It's about putting a system in place that's adopting from all sorts of areas. So if you've heard of SSMP, which is the meetings management protocol that's quite big in the US, where everything is measured to do with the meetings industry, and the incentive industry forms part of that, where you would be measuring, for example, waste, but you'd also be measuring, economic benefits and all kinds of other aspects. And so we go down the roadmap, and I'm chuffed that we put together this Earth Day webinar, because one of the points scoring tasks that we have to do is to do something for Earth Day. So actually this webinar is getting us a few points towards the 100 points we need to achieve our certification during the year. There are other things on the horizon that we'll be sharing later in the year. We'll be doing some kind of an event that will also be aligned towards sustainability, or at least we'll measure the sustainability of that. And yeah, at the end of the year, hopefully together with the other SITE chapters around the world, we'll tick all the boxes, and we need to score 100 out of a possible 150 points to be certified at SITE Africa as a sustainable chapter within SITE. It's a great process, and I would just like to put it out there that if there are any SITE members or non-members that want to contribute, and we're busy setting up our task team at the moment. We've got Johan Venter on this call. He's the first co-opted member of the SITE Africa's Sustainability Committee, and we'd like a couple more. And yeah, we'll be going through the process. I found a lot of areas that would benefit my own business that I can take from some of this training, and everything that's been done is available. So when we went through strategic meetings management program training, which was one aspect, that's there as a kind of recording that people who are on the committee could have access to going forward. So yeah, I'm excited. I think the year ahead, we've got some work to do, but it's a great learning experience for me personally.
Carol, that is absolutely awesome. And, you know, so proud that Africa has got so many true sustainable projects, you know, be it in hospitality and otherwise. And very happy that two of those amazing projects will be sharing their experiences and goals with us. But before we move on to them, I'd just like to touch on something that's very exciting for us as members, and that's the annual Crystal Awards. And for those who don't know, Africa has won 16 of those awards, which is the most awards for any single chapter. So that's something we really need to pat ourselves on the back for. And I'm sorry, I'm going to polish your button a little bit, Daryl. You have walked away with 3 of those specifically for CSR awards. So well done with that. But would you share with us what has been your experience from, let's say, 10 years ago to now? Have you seen any change in perception and requirements for CSR projects from your clients?
Yeah, I think, you know, I was fortunate. Site introduced, you know, they have the Crystal Awards, the Oscars of the incentive travel industry, as they call it. And it's quite a big, prestigious, you know, gathering at the site conference every year. There's a luncheon and they highlight, you know, normally sort of 6 to 8 entries. And they've, since 2007, had, as I mentioned, a category for sustainability and CSR. And I was fortunate we entered in 2007, so the first ever award in that category we won, and we weren't the only South African company at that time within Southern Africa as a chapter to enter, and Johan's former company, You and I Win, also entered and won an award for CSR that year. So I shared it in effect, and subsequently we won 2 more. I think if we go back to 2007, ticking the boxes on sustainability and CSR was possibly easier than it is today. That first award, we tried to empower as many suppliers as possible. So it was an event for Oracle. It was 600 people in Cape Town, and we sourced all the room drop gifts, all the decor for the gala dinner. The placemats were all from Gone Rural in Swaziland who wove grass mats for the gala dinner. Everyone came to the gala dinner in handmade Madiba Mandela type shirts, and for the men, and sarongs for the ladies. They were made in a township called Orange Farm outside Johannesburg by a community project. So we did a lot. And I think it was a great thing to be part of and to showcase. But I think where it's evolving, and it may, as nice as that experience was, and as much as we gave back, I think today, if you enter again, the mountain's a little higher to climb to win, because we're looking for, in my mind, sustainability means come back 5 years later or 10 years later, and is there anything that you can still tangibly evaluate, see, touch, that the legacy of what you did in years gone by, you know, is still visible. And that's the challenge for me. A lot of those projects still exist today, but would they have existed with or without our contribution? It's hard to say. And we in that instance haven't measured. A subsequent award that we won was for a project we initiated at the school, and I'm proud to say that 13 years later I can still go back and physically see, you know, the benefits that our clients sponsored, basically. And we still have a relationship with that school, and it's gone from, you know, getting rid of latrine toilets to, computer center to additional classrooms to vegetable gardens, and you can physically go and see all of that still today, and it's grown on its own. And they've, the start that the sponsoring company gave them has enabled them to progress on their own. So clients in corporate, clients, incentive companies, I think they're looking for more than just offsetting carbon emissions, as important as that is, or maybe sourcing food that's local and all the things we talk about. I think we have to think one step further in the future going forward and saying, okay, we want to minimize the impact of traveling around the world and holding events, but we also want to contribute to things that that will have a long-term benefit. And I think that's where the clients are heading in terms of what they want to achieve with their own CSR or sustainability programs.
Thank you, Daryl. And indeed, I'm so glad you highlighted that, because I think we've all experienced where a so-called CSR project has gone wrong, and it's either embarrass the community. I mean, here we arrive with our notebooks and pencils, and pat ourselves on the back. Now we've really helped the local community, when they actually need something completely different. And then I'm very happy to hear about the sustainability stories, and it's exactly what you say, is what is the long-term impact. It doesn't help to put a plaster on a gunshot wound, so to speak. But Wendy,
very true, Tess.
Oh, thank you, Daryl. So Wendy, I think you've got an amazing story to tell with your properties and your projects. Please introduce yourself and your properties, and we'll show a little video clip when you're ready.
Excellent. Tess, thank you very much. For those who know me, I'm usually presenting in a pair of leopard skin pajamas, but I was told to be well behaved today, so I'm working on that. Tess, Vic Falls, it is one of the 7 wonders of the world. It's the gateway to and surrounded by the Khaza Trans-Frontier Conservation Area, which is the largest conservation area on Earth. It's larger than Germany. So it's such a great area to get involved in. And a couple of years ago, we upgraded the Vic Falls airport. So if anybody watching today plays darts, Vic Falls is bullseye to Southern Africa. And once we get rid of this silly thing called COVID, we'll have all the flights coming back in again to make connectivity so good. So I work for Victoria Falls Safari Lodge. The company our group company is called Africa Alberta Tourism. And within that, in Vic Falls, we have ranging from a 3 to 5 star properties. So, if you like the way we work, you should be able to fit into them. I think Dave Glynn, our chairman, and I'm going to read and quote from him because I think it's just such a good quote. He said, giving back to the community. This is our way of acknowledging the huge privilege we have and the responsibility we hold in our hands by sustainably utilizing the natural resources, caring for the fauna and flora, creating jobs, uplifting the community in which we work in. Africa Alberta Tourism shares its love of Africa's warmth and hospitable people, her vibrant culture, incredible wildlife, and immense physical beauty. And I know Alyssa's going to get in and say how beautiful Rwanda is. And I think we all say that. We're all very passionate about what we're selling. It's like one of our kind of USPs. We say the friendly hospitality of the Zimbabwe people. But, I think as a community in Vic Falls, which is great, we do work as a community. It is a wonderful destination. So on my property, we have the 5-star Vic Falls Safari Club, the 4-star Victoria Falls Safari Lodge, which is 26 years old now. And then we've got our 3-star Lokatula. So, if we have incentives coming in, we've got, a different grade and cost of accommodation. For me, my biggest selling point, I think, is that we're just outside the town. We've just been made actually a city status, which is a bit worrying because I think they just want to put up our municipal bills, because I think we need a cathedral in the city. I'm not quite sure. But we're 4 kilometers out of town. So kind of we're in the best of both worlds. You look one way and we look into the national park. And then, you know, 4 kilometers away, we're in the center of town. So that for me, that we're outside of town, and also that we are outside the helicopter fly zone. Obviously now for the last year, we haven't had too much of that going on. But it gives you a sense of actually being in the bush. And, you know, all of us, we have a great variety of accommodations within Vic Falls, which is good for our DMCs to decide if people want a sort of a concrete hotel room or they want a tent. So a great thing we do offer is a shuttle bus into town, so people can pop in whenever they want to. And every day we do something called Vulture Culture, and it's we feed the vultures. And I'm going to really go off on a tangent, so you might want to mute me here to say that you've got to be so careful of involving anything with animals. So these vultures, I'm telling you, they're clever creatures. You know, if we're talking about pandas or elephants or anybody, you know, they're nice cuddly things. Vultures aren't particularly, but if it wasn't for them, you know, we'd have all the disease and things around. But when we first started doing this about 10 years ago, at 1:45, there was nothing in the sky. And then at 1 o'clock, we had a couple coming in. Now, at 1:45, they're sitting on the side of the trees where we're about to throw out some bones. It's not enough to feed them. They have to go and forage for themselves, but a great learning experience. And just going back to something that Daryl said, you know, I think something that we really need to be responsible for now is educating people. People aren't here just to take a picture and move on. They actually want to be educated about where they are. So I think I might stop now and ask you to put the video on.
Before I play the video, for people to understand, explain us the culture vulture thing. Why did that start?
You know, I think Dave Glynn, our chairman, is so aware of protecting nature. And again, I'm going to quickly go off a tangent. When we built Safari Lodge 26 years ago, we relocated 200 tree saplings and, you know, built the lodge. And then when we opened up, the elephants thought, yay, this is really exciting. We've got all these tree saplings. And so started eating Mr. Glynn's trees. So we quickly put up an electric fence around the property. My selling point to our guests is that's to keep them safe. But I think the truth of the matter is to stop the elephants eating his trees. And in fact, when we built the Vic Falls Safari Club, we got a lovely swimming pool and it's got a lap pool underneath. And in the middle of the lap pool was a big tree that Dave absolutely refused to have cut down. But really, we had to, you know, the pool was really a very important selling point. And I think the rest of the directors had a huge argument, and eventually the tree did go down. But in the meantime, we'd saved a whole lot of trees around us. So really, Dave wanted this whole thing of educating people, and you know how endangered vultures are throughout the world. So it was sort of a kind of a soft way of forcing people to listen.
Okay. Amazing, yeah, and it is quite an amazing experience. It's quite overwhelming to see all those vultures come down into the field. Okay, so let's get your video going. I'm just going to do the share screen thing here, and let's see if I can get this right. Are we good?
We have always found that the African wilderness has been one of our greatest teachers. The longer that we looked upon it, the closer that we became to it, the more we began to feel that one living thing was truly unique. Needing little more than sunshine and rain, it grows slow and strong, giving shelter, shade, and sustenance to all around. This greater Alberta tree has inspired the way that we have strived to provide shade for all in the Africa Alberta family.
So the whole dream came from Dave Glynn, who said, I want to build this giant treehouse.
One of the greatest thrills I get as a hotelier to watch the reactions where they step into that building and it's set in the bush with a magnificent vista across the national park.
You know, as a family, you can't beat it.
Beautiful lounges that flow out onto a terrace overlooking the natural bush estate that we're in.
Being able to see a warthog strolling past your braai while you guys are talking, having a glass of wine with your family, very special. So Vic Falls Safari Club was that exclusivity. It was the quiet, peaceful part of the property where you can go and relax and read your book, listening to the birds fly by.
The local name that the Victoria Falls are known of is Mosi or Trunya, which literally would mean the smoke that thunders.
Being one of the 7 natural wonders of the world, there are hundreds of millions of people who want to come here, and I'm sure will over the coming years.
This lodge has taken to it to say, what help can we do to these birds? And with that, the Vulture restaurant got started.
Everybody after me.
You go to the falls, absolutely, but you got to go to the Boma. You leave there as a rejuvenated young African soul, this incredible drumming show where you feel like you're part of the falls with that big beat.
My business is all about those people who are going to visit me, feel at home. We are at home, but in the bush.
What we have here are real people, a genuine desire to make that guest experience special.
People who come to Zimbabwe from anywhere in the world, they always say there's 2 things. You've got amazing wildlife and beautiful scenery, but your people are so warm.
We have guests leaving in tears because they've seen, experienced, touched, learnt a range of things that they'll never see again. And that for us is very special.
My first day was on the 21st of October 1992. I don't forget that day. 25 years working on the same company, it's not a joke.
Quite nice to work with such people who are always ready to help whenever help is needed.
It's so easy to settle in because the culture is such that we are one family.
They've got people to heart.
I'm very proud, 100% proud, because I love this company.
We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for this wonderful land that we're in and for the people who this land originally belonged to. And we want to ensure that we encompass that future care and feeling from our company in everything we do. We don't just stop there, we try and get the communities involved and we try and get our customers involved. Because we feel if you're traveling with us as a company, we want you to be part of that journey as well.
Conscious travelers around the world is becoming more and more of an important thing. And it's exciting that AAT are green certified.
Do the right thing because it's what you believe in and what's natural. That's been part of our business ethic and of our own personal ethos from day one. We dedicate time, senior energy, creative energy and resources to that part of our business that's very important to us.
You know, it's a great company, great organization that cares not only for the people, the environment, but I think in the long term, they contribute towards the greater good of Zimbabwe as well.
Absolutely stunning. Well done. Thank you, Wendy.
I'm going to quickly butt in. Anybody who's listening today who's been to the Boma knows it's just an amazing experience. And in fact, it's always embarrassing when the drum leader knows that I'm there that night. He will come straight to my table and say to me, Wendy, please don't drum because you put everybody out of kilter and your drumming is so bad, which is very embarrassing.
No, it really is a lovely, lovely experience. So Wendy, we'll come back to you with a few more points on your properties a bit later. But now I'd like us to hop over to Rwanda, and Alyssa, all yours.
Thank you so much for having me. Yes, welcome to Rwanda, where we have built also a range of hotel rooms. So we do have a 4-star and a 5-star hotel. The 4-star hotel is called Heaven, and then we have a 5-star hotel called The Retreat right in Kigali. And I'm gonna just open up a little video to give you, actually, I might start with my presentation because it kind of goes through my story, and I think that's an easy way to give an intro to what we've done here. We've been here for 16 years already. So let me just share my screen here. So I'm going to start now with a presentation, just giving you a quick overview. So this is my staff. I'm sorry, I'm looking for the view full screen. Sorry about this. So this is actually my staff before COVID, I have to say. So we had this enormous, beautiful group of people that really our story, again, goes back to the people of Rwanda. I moved to Rwanda 15 years ago to work in public health, not in hospitality. But I've built all of these brands and businesses here for my love of the country. We actually moved to Kigali in 2006 as honeymooners, and we never left, which is a very unusual story. We are American and just really made our life in Rwanda. We have our own family here. We have 3 of our own kids and 3 adopted kids now. But back in the beginning, I wasn't sure what path I would take here. And it's always been a focal point of our work to create things that are sustainable. So while my husband was building health centers and hospitals in Rwanda, I was volunteering at an orphanage in Kigali and met a lot of young people who had no real job skills and no work opportunity. And so I decided to take a huge, huge risk and custom built the first hospitality training restaurant in Rwanda. So this was back in 2007. And I was very naive. I didn't know how to run the place. I didn't quite know anything except that I came from San Francisco. I was a foodie and I wanted to create a place where we could both teach skills, but also be like a cultural venue and showcase made in Rwanda products and do art exhibits and kind of be an everything place, which sounds like the Boma might be as well. And over the years, we've become kind of well known as a hospitality training restaurant. So we've trained over 1,500 young people in culinary skills and customer service skills. And so our heart really is in the people and developing those skills to build future leaders. And I'm very proud to say that a lot of the graduates in my program are now working at the top conference venues in Rwanda. So now we have, Rwanda is a very exciting venue for conference and incentive because we have Radisson and Marriott now in Kigali, and they're bringing in tons of business. We're also hosting the Commonwealth meeting. The heads of nations are coming in June, which is super exciting. Even during COVID, it's still on this year. So we'll be hosting a lot of the VIPs at our properties. But I just wanted to point out, Kigali is one of the safest, cleanest cities in Africa. It should never be overlooked on any itinerary, even though Rwanda is famous for gorillas. It's in the city where you can really meet the artisans and the entrepreneurs and have culinary experiences. And so it's a really exciting place. And because of that, and our love for Kigali, we have developed a lot of cultural experiences. So through not only hosting visitors in our hotel, we also get out into the community and do a lot of one-on-one artisan workshops and things like that. So we're trying to support the community beyond our properties, developing cultural experiences for visitors and keeping people excited and staying in the country longer. We've even developed on-site cultural experiences. We do banana winemaking, which is something that is very traditional in Rwanda, literally taking bananas that are ripened, mashing them up, cooking sorghum, and creating an alcoholic drink with banana. But it's a really fun experience, and this is something that we do on-site. And then just kind of moving on to what we do for the environment on our property, because it is Earth Day. This is the retreat. This is my 5-star property. We have the largest solar array. We made a conscious decision to try to power everything, even our laundry machines, through solar energy when we built the retreat. And then we've got a lot of other features, like we decided to do saltwater chlorination. We have solar panels funneling into our pools and hot tubs. All of our pool heaters and air conditioning units are energy efficient. So really just thinking about how can we be sustainable? How can we not have plastic? And actually, Rwanda is one of the countries that adopted a plastic-free policy years ago, I think way before it was the cool thing to do. You don't really see any plastic or garbage on the streets. It's just part of the presidential initiative, which is so wonderful. So it's kind of easy for us to abide by that. And then, yeah, just in our own ways, having organic shampoos and conditioners made by a Kenyan organization. So really trying to find what we can locally. yes, we do farm to table, even though, like you said, Daryl, it's not just about working with farmers. It's about all of this, everything that you mentioned. I really spoke to me that sustainability has to be thoughtful, and it's a journey, and it has to be something that you work on all the time to improve upon. I mean, I'm proudly saying we've been open a decade, and we're still employing people, and we're still doing all this in our own way for sustainability. But it is something that we can always improve upon. And not everything that we've tried to do works. I think I mentioned before our call, we developed a composting program on site a couple of years ago, and then I found my team wasn't quite sure how to keep it going. And so we've had to revisit. And a lot of it is just about educating ourselves as well. What are the small things we can do every day to protect the environment? How can we turn off lights and water more often in our day-to-day life? So we're trying to build in that awareness among our own team as well internally, not just for the guests to know what we do for the environment. So it's also training our staff in being very aware. So yeah, we've done what we can to be an eco-friendly property, and even using LED light bulbs, stuff like that. There's simple ways to save electricity and protect the environment. And so we just feel very proud and hope that we can be considered to be a destination for a lot of travelers. Rwanda has very good control over COVID. We're very lucky to be in a place where testing has been thorough, and actually all of our staff have been vaccinated already. We feel very lucky to be in a place where even now we're open for tourism, we're open for travelers, and hopefully incentive conferencing will start coming back to Rwanda. So thank you for having me.
Thank you, Alyssa. Are you going to run your video clip for us as well?
I can. It's just a little surround video of the hotel, but I think I've said enough actually for now. You've gotten to see a lot of pictures of the hotel, so maybe just opening it up for discussion would be nice.
Okay, no, that's absolutely wonderful. And so you've mentioned a few of your challenges, learning as you go, but within this entire project, which is an absolute labor of love, is there any one thing that makes you the happiest?
Absolutely. I think it's just knowing through all the challenges and struggles, and it's not easy to do any of this work that we all do, but that you have to feel that passion. And I think what drives me, what makes me so proud and happy, is to see how well all of the graduates of the Heaven program are doing. So anyone who's come through my doors has gotten a great job after. And that, for me, that's the sustainable part. Yeah, we built a beautiful hotel and beautiful rooms, but it's not really about that for me. It's about all the energy we put into training people, creating jobs, supporting artists, all the different ways we try, which sounds like Victoria Falls does a very good job as well of incorporating the culture and, conservation, education into what we do. This is all part of it. And I think that's what does make me the happiest, is to have lived through this many years as you have, Wendy, to see, hey, this has really worked. I mean, not all of it, but a lot of it has really worked, and it is sustainable, and it can be sustainable. And hopefully we serve as role models for others because of that.
That's really awesome. Now, can you just explain to our audience exactly where the retreat is? Because one wouldn't imagine it's in the middle of a city. So just give us a little helicopter view of the property.
Sure, and I don't have such a beautiful video as Victoria Falls. I have to work on that. But the Kigali is just, the retreat is right in the center of downtown Kigali, which is amazing because it's a tree-lined street where we see turacos and bird life. In fact, we're going to make a little bird watching cheat sheet on our property because we see incredible bird life, even though we're in the city. So it's nice. It's only a 15-minute drive from the Kigali International Airport. We're close to Marriott and Serena and all the corporate hotels, but we are a boutique family-run hotel. So we just provide a slightly different type of experience when you visit us. And even though we're in downtown Kigali and you can walk into the malls and walk to the banks, we are on this tree-lined residential street. So very peaceful, very calm. You don't hear traffic or anything like that. And then Rwanda is such a tiny country. For those of you who don't know, it's easy to go see the gorillas or go on safari here. It's only about a 2-hour drive on very, very good roads. The infrastructure is amazing here. So you could easily do a day trip to safari or even a day trip to gorillas, which is, like I said, what Rwanda has been most famous for, but now we're kind of changing that, and Rwanda is becoming a standalone destination now, where you can easily spend 10 days in the country.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's been wonderful to see Rwanda grow. I think all of us who have been there over the past few years, I mean, 5 years ago, I don't think Rwanda would have been on anybody's top of list for much besides the gorillas, as you say. But since the establishment of the Convention Bureau and the new Convention Center, I mean, it's just been amazing to see the product and the passion blossom. So Rwanda's truly become a fantastic standalone incentive destination and still going strong. Wendy, let's head back to you. Can you give us a little overview of what what your goals and plans are in terms of developing the team, how it's entrenched in the community? I mean, the videos told us a lot about it, but you want to dig a little bit deeper in terms of what happens on a daily basis at your properties. Just unmute yourself.
It's usually the host who mutes me because I have too much to say. First of all, I just have to say to Alyssa, just what a great product. And it's really funny to see somebody not coming back to, especially a young lady not coming back to Africa with khaki fever, with falling in love with a guide. So it was nice that you and your husband came and didn't ever go back. And from just looking at your presentation, kind of it makes me slightly jealous that as a sort of new build, you can put all these things in. You know, yes, we're trying to put solar in. We've got a lot of thatch, which of course makes it slightly difficult. But you know, all the things of having your showers, you know, those special water, special heads to expand the water and things. These sort of things should be coming in automatically. I know on my fact sheet, and I'm actually embarrassed about it, and I keep trying to get everybody to take it off. We say we have international plugs in the rooms. Well, you know, that's should be there. It's like saying we use grey water. That's not a new thing. You know, those are the sort of things, basic things now that we all should be doing. So we've taken away any plastic water bottles on the property and have started only having glass bottles. One of the big things we've initiated is the recycling unit. And again, that was incorporating the community. I think it's actually mainly women who are involved in that. We've got them, we brought them in together. So within the AAT group, we do a lot of in-house training, and slightly like you, Alyssa, we've got a cookery course, we've got a management course. We've got a voluntary waiter course, actually, that people, they just get an allowance, but to see if they actually want to do this as a profession. So we do a lot of in-house upgrades. You know, if somebody's you know, a laundry hand, they move up the scale. And that's, for me, a bit like you saying how wonderful to get your staff, you know, they're now in these conference things. I think that's what's so great with us. We really, the philosophy, Dave Glenn's, is, you know, really we are a family. And that's often a kind of a kitschy kind of thing to say, but you know, I think that's what makes our property so successful. And again, a bit like you, we're a standalone. We're not a chain, so it's not, you know, chicken on Monday, beef on Tuesday type thing. But you know, I think that Vic Falls as a town or a city, you know, has worked very well together. And thank you for reminding me to bring up that COVID thing. I think now we've got, and I'm dyslexic, so it's either 78 or 87% of the town over 18 have been vaccinated to try and make it a travel bubble. So, and again with you, it's really the whole vaccine thing, having testing, you know, we can get the guys from the lab to come in and test in your hotel room. So we've done really well as a destination, I think, to make it as inviting as possible to people. And of course, from an incentive point of view, you know, before COVID, there was something like 34 different activities to do. And I'm hoping, and I'm sure Daryl's going to put me in my place about what actually happens, is I'd really like everybody to spend now 4 nights and not 2.3 nights in Vic Falls, because there's a lot to do. And very sadly, and Tess, you know this, I mean, most people only spend 2 hours in the falls, actually in the rainforest. So I'm really hoping now that we can do something like, you know, a packed lunch or you know, something to extend that, to actually kind of immerse yourself in it.
No, that's wonderful. Before I go back to Daryl, just to the audience, if anybody would like to add or share something, just please put up your hand so I can be aware that you want to share. But Daryl, let me hop over to you. Do you have any closing thoughts for us on these experiences?
Yeah, I think, you know, where we try and, you know, plan our direction, what can we do, what should we be doing? I think there's more awareness today about sustainability and corporate social responsibility than there's ever been. We've got the younger generation pushing the older crowd, as some of us are, in terms of their expectation. You know, it's not a case of, and I don't want to pick on Wendy, but you know, Wendy said they'd move to glass from plastic water bottles. That's going to be the expected norm. And even in some cases, refillable carafes or pitchers of water on conference tables is going to be what's expected going forward. Like you said, the international adapters is, you know, you're probably not even going to put that, it's just going to be expected. We probably need to look further than our own organizations. So, you know, most of the DMC world is made up of smaller businesses, and we're pushed by COVID to some extent, but have managed to go paperless and, you know, do initiatives in our businesses. Hotels have some obvious measures they can take to limit the impact on the environment. But now we have to look further down the sort of road. Our suppliers, what are they doing? You know, how can we document that not only what we do in our own businesses, but everybody we work with? What are they doing? It's onerous, I think, to try and put together an entire sustainability plan that you can show a client that, you know, at the end of the day, if they came to your destination, your hotel, your venue, that you could talk about the impact of an entire, you know, almost ecosystem around that event. So, yeah, I think it's exciting because, you know, I have a millennial and a Gen Z or Gen Z son, my wife Heidi and I, that one of each, that I can't tell the difference between these two generations, but apparently there is. And I thought millennials were already pushing us on the environment, you know, wanted to do better for the world than their parents did. And it looks like Gen Z are going to go further down that road. And our visitors, conference delegates, incentive participants of the future have certainly got higher expectations in this area. And we need to seriously consider that and start implementing as much as we can to ensure that we remain attractive to them to visit and experience. One other thing to touch on, it's been highlighted, but I think the importance of the community and openly discussing with them what their needs are, what their views are before, you know, pushing towards maybe a project or an ideal or an objective that the clients or yourselves have as a business. I mean, we shared in a discussion when the panel got together 2 days ago, you know, what my one personal experience, the first time I went to Bazaruto Island in Mozambique, an international oil company had kindly provided a borehole in the village. And all the men were angry because the women were sitting around all day. They didn't have to walk 7 kilometers to fetch water from the lake anymore. And, you know, the planning probably could have been better done had they consulted. At the end of the day, it was a success story. They created a craft making business to supply the hotel or the lodge. And, you know, the women were fully engaged and I'm sure relieved that they didn't have to do a 14-kilometer trek every day to fetch water. But, you know, just ask before you try to impose your concepts or ideas on sustainability or corporate social responsibility, those that will be impacted. And it should be a much smoother process.
Fantastic. Thank you, Daryl. So we're just about at the end of the line here. So I'd like to just hop over to first Alyssa and then Wendy for your parting shots, as they say in Africa. So Alyssa, over to you.
Oh, not much more to say other than just everybody's so welcome to come to Rwanda. It is a very special destination that I think until right before COVID was almost the most exciting place to visit on earth. You know, it was just on this amazing upswing with tourism and conferencing, and then all of us, of course, got hit. But I do believe we will recover from this, and I do believe that visitors will start coming again as soon as vaccine is widely distributed. So we're really excited, and I am part of that whole movement of creating more sustainable approaches to everything we do. And I'm happy to be part of this conversation, even going forward into the future. So thank you for inviting me today.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you for that. And I just want to make a mention as well, Nikki Wiedemann, who represents some stunning properties in Mozambique, is here with us as well today. But we'll definitely feature some of her wonderful stories in our next one. Wendy, final word to you. Thank you.
Well, I have to say, if 2 years ago, if you wanted to go and see the falls to yourself, I think you paid thousands of dollars to close the gates. And now you've got people going there. That friends of mine went up last week. They were the only two in the falls, in the rainforest. I mean, what a privilege. So particularly the American market, I think now a lot of the older generation are being vaccinated. So I think we will see a bit of an uptake in the last quarter. And just from listening to Zoom calls and that recently, virtual shows, I do think people are going to stay longer. I think they're not going to do as many destinations. And from a FIT point of view, I think we're going to get a lot more multi-generational travel, or sort of groups, six badly behaved friends getting together. So I think that's going to expand it. But from an incentive point of view, you know, Vic Falls is just a great destination, and we definitely are open for business. And once you popped in to see Alyssa, will you pop down to see me?
Absolutely fabulous. Now, one thing also just to mention is the connectivity between the regions have really improved. Not all the airlines are servicing those destinations at the moment, but they will be soon. And it's really fabulous because you can do a fantastic trip from Cape Town to Vic Falls and into Rwanda on one airline. So really fantastic opportunities, you know, doing multiple destination visits from an incentive perspective. And I agree with you, Wendy. I think trips will definitely get longer, and people will probably stay longer in one destination rather than hopping about because of the inconvenience of all the COVID testing and all that that's going on. Daryl, final word from you?
Sure. I think, yeah, it's Earth Day today. Let's all think about what we can do today to limit the impact we have on the environment, but don't only do it today. Please continue it for the year ahead until next Earth Day, and then every day until we have a perfect world.
Fabulous. And with that, thank you to all our guests, all our attendees. Like I said, this is recorded, and we'll be sharing it on our social media and our various websites very soon. Thank you, everybody, and happy Earth Day.
Thanks, Tess. Thank you. Bye.